how do we use media and art and creativity to not only influence positive social change, but to also create more health and wellness and fulfillment and happiness and joy within ourselves? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations for the People with Matthew Solomon. I am Matthew Solomon. I'm really excited today. We're going to be talking to Christopher Rivas, who is a storyteller, an actor, essayist, social commentator, multi-hyphenate, filmmaker, disruptor, about all those things, about his journey, his exploration of colorism. He wrote a book called Brown Enough, which is an amazing read that talks about colorism and racism, but also how that influences and impacts sex and intimacy and our ability to work and sustain ourselves and our emotional and physical wellness and mental health and all the things that he's doing and we can be doing to use our creativity, to spark our creativity, to find inspiration, to create more of that in the world for our communities, for each other, and for ourselves. So uh, please hit subscribe, listen in, and it's my pleasure to introduce Christopher Rivas. Christopher, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you, and for the folks listening in, we've met a couple times in person, but have never really had a chance to talk. First time was like in a group setting. Second time, I had the honor of coming to you were workshopping your one man show, which we'll get into it, but the way that you blend like technology and art and activism and sharing yourself has always really been inspiring to me. Like I read your book Brown Enough a while back, got my highlighter out, and I went back to reread the highlighted parts. So thank you for being here. And in the interest of how we can live how healthier, happier, more fulfilled lives and really create, society and humanity and liberation. First of all, if you could just share a little bit about yourself and your journey, and then, I'd love to, jump into your work.
Jump into all the things. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you. Thanks for the
Yeah.
nice words. A little bit about myself. When I introduce myself, I like to think like, who am I today? Because I think that changes kind of on a daily basis, depending on our feelings in life and all the things. But today, I'm an artist. I believe in story. I believe in storytelling. Uh, I try to do it in all different mediums, like kind of whatever excites me.
Mm.
I want to have a very diverse resume when I pass of things that
Yeah.
I'm anxious to begin and share stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. With your book Brown Enough, which I have right here, and
Sick.
everybody should read it. Um, I it's I love many things, but just how like clear and direct everything is about your life experience. And I mean, you talk about how colorism affects, not just access, which is a big part, but relationships and sexuality and our work, like our ability to work, mental health, emotional health. And so what led to you? Like I get you were saying like, who am I today and how what do I want to create today and what medium? So what led to you writing the book?
Honestly, I never had an intention to write a book. Like, I don't think I grew up and I was like, I'm gonna write books. Um, I got lucky, or yeah, I think a lot of this life is luck, right place, right time. I was just a curious kid. I'm still a curious person. That's what makes my art is like, what am I curious about? I ask a big fat question and then I try and like answer it by living. And so I had written that New York Times article in Modern Love about dating white women, which is really just like that got birthed from this play I wrote about James Bond being Dominican. Like, so you see that it's like everything is always off of something else, some curiosity. My James Bond curiosity led to my curiosity. Why do I date so many white women? Led to the New York Times, and then that kind of blew up. And I got all these calls from book agents, and they said, "Hey, are you representing the book?" And then I met one book agent who really kind of was a doula of sorts and was patient with me and said, I like your writing, and there's clearly a theme in your writing of identity and exploration. Um, and her patience really allowed me to birth this thing. And once we understood what we were exploring, the rest is history, as they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I was reading it, and I know that um like you're in the book is in the Inglewood school system, is that right? Or
Yeah. We just, Inglewood, it's cool. We're in Connecticut school systems right now in New Haven. We just gave 333 copies to Inglewood High, Puente. We just gave them uh, this call or anything. Yeah, it's really cool.
yeah. And would you like the book starts where you talk about your interaction with Ta-Nehisi Coates? And I have questions about that, but I wonder if you could just if you could just share like what that was and how that was the impetus for you.
Yeah, so I was in the downtown library, very beautiful space. They bring in these great writers and thinkers, and he was doing his Coates thing. And I raised my hand. They said questions. I raised my hand, and I said, in all this conversation of black and white, where does that leave me, a brown Latino kid from Queens? And he said, not in it.
Mm.
And this really, I mean, I didn't sleep that night. I just like, I wasn't mad. I was maybe a little mad. I just didn't understand. And yet I kind of understood. Like, don't, we've never come up this idea of the middle of brownness, not even just Latino-ness. I grew up in Queens, the most diverse place in the world. Really, that's not like just a fun thing we say. It's the
Yeah.
home of 138 different spoken languages. Like,
Mm.
it's insane. It's cool. And I was like, oh, so Queens isn't in it? Like, it really is just this sort of binary of right? And really opened my world and saw the world as this great place. I mean, we see it with gender, we see it in politics, right? It's red, blue, it's this, that, snow. And I knew that there was some middle space that just in me was a powerful space, but also a freeing space.
Yeah. Yeah. I when so before the pandemic, I was working a lot in conflict resolution, and it wasn't DEI, but people would assume or think that it was some element of that, but it really wasn't. It was really uh understanding that we all see the world through different lenses based on our lived experience and all of our various identities and identifying characteristics, right? And so I was at this one college where they were having a lot of issues with racism and sexism and all of that. And so I was doing like listening circles and teaching people how to listen. And there was a Spanish professor, Latina, who came up to me on the first day and she was like, please understand that whenever we do these DEI trainings, it's always black or white and we always get left out. And I was sort of aware of that, but her saying that to me like really shifted uh how I was going to show up, and it was not just her and the, Latino community, but then there was, students with disabilities who also weren't represented in those conversations. And it's been really interesting seeing like the pushback with DEI now, because like from my perspective, there were problems with DEI, but not the problems that are being associated, right? But just that it wasn't inclusive enough, and it wasn't really, and DEI doesn't really get to like the core, which I think you really explained beautifully. I forget, you were talking about like the disease of, was it whiteness, or how would you explain that?
Explain the disease of whiteness sounds so aggressive. I might have
or
written
no,
that.
I think I'm saying it wrong, but there was a disease of like not being white or something. Like there was something that jumped out at me that was like, wow, that's a really good way of talking about
It
other
was
things.
it was the correlation to Lyme disease.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so my mother has Lyme disease, and Lyme disease is with you your whole life. And she didn't know she had it until the symptoms started taking place. So she
Mm,
got bit many, 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 many moons ago. And then she was having all these issues, these issues, these issues. And the doctor was finally, one of the doctors was like, let's test for this. They were like, you have Lyme disease. And she was like,
mm.
I have Lyme disease. And I think I made the correlation that being a body of culture, especially one who grew up in Queens, you don't know that you're different until like, you don't know until you end up in a space that's
Yeah.
like, hey, you're this, you have this.
Mm.
Your life will be affected now, or changed, or impacted, or, and that's the correlation I think I spoke to.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something to the fact that yeah, when you realize how you're being othered and that I'm totally paraphrasing, please correct me if I but
Yeah, paraphrase away.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like it's a problem not being white because it eliminates or reduces access and how you're viewed because it's not the like quote um I don't even want to say societal norm at this point, but there like in these systems of white supremacy, if you're not
Yeah.
white.
This is true. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a problem not being white, because what I'm trying to say is that sort of our culture is our strength. I talk about, like, alchemy comes up in my work a lot. The alchemist, the
Mm,
ability to turn, coal into gold. And um, I say that whiteness is a kind of alchemy that tries to tell you that your gold as a body of culture should become less than, when really it is the gold that whiteness has been mining from us for so long. It's why I use Resma Medicum's term body of cultures, because I don't think whiteness has wanted our color, but they have always wanted our culture, and they have always profited off of our culture. Um, and that is why I use that term sort of very specifically,
mhm.
uh, because it's not a it's so beautiful.
Yes.
It's richness you come from. It is an awareness and a realization when you say, "Oh, I'm now in a system that is not designed for me," in so many levels. Uh, the wherever you want to put the beginning of this thing we call a nation or a world. Um, we stole bodies, and we used those bodies to make certain people rich. And those certain people sort of built that system, and we have maintained its status quo so beautifully. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for expanding on that. I am curious also, because as like we're both writers and artists, and uh, there are these traditional tropes and stereotypes that like for me I've been really trying to wrap my brain around like how can we affect change through media through film TV and all of that and I'm really curious uh your thoughts on that like how can we use our art to flip the script or to expand people's awareness and knowledge of what we've been kind of socialized to think is you know the like the proper way or whatever. But what are the ways that we can?
Yeah. So I'm working on this project right now, and we did we kind of did it backwards. We did the composing before we've done the shooting. So I worked with this composer, and then me and the composer were kind of messing around, and we were putting on YouTube videos, like, on mute, like visual YouTube videos, and then playing the music. And the composer was like, "God, man, images are so powerful. Like, I kind of lose the set. Like, they steal the show.
Yeah.
They just steal the show." Um, and and this is true of us. Images are so, so, so powerful. Uh, the irony of us being writers is, I think, one of the reasons sort of writing, well, we know we have literacy issues. This is kind of the whole sort of browning up in high school mission,
Yeah.
we're losing our ability to read because we're losing our ability to imagine.
Mm.
Like imagination is a crucial part of living, but also reading, but also envisioning a new world. Like you have to be able to imagine. And we have been so inundated with images, and not just like images that matter, images that took time, like images that take a couple of seconds and then they're just flooded on your screen over and over, that we're losing our ability to imagine our own images. Uh, that's my little thesis on why images are
Yeah.
so strong and powerful, and the quality of images that you give. Now, how can these images in media and culture and TV and stuff serve us, heal us, repair us, um, fix conflict, transform conflict? They can, and part of we know they can. US, it's no UCLA. UCLA does this incredible research. Forgive me for not knowing if Annenberg is USC,
Yeah.
UCLA is one.
Okay.
I do not know the name
Yeah.
of at this moment. And they do this amazing research that's things like it's more powerful for two white people in a movie to talk about like doing good for bodies of culture and than it is to see some white guy help a black guy.
Mm.
And you're like, that doesn't seem right. Like we should see the action. It's like, no, because we don't ever see the time it takes for two white men to talk about how they might have done some wrong or how they are complicit in the system.
Yeah.
Like that conversation has so much more power. So they study these images. And short story, it's like you could cut everything else and you could just say this like, if we don't see it, we don't think we belong. We
Yeah.
don't think our story is worth telling. Um, it's like young kids growing up in the hood, they think music and sports because they see it.
Yeah.
They see what's possible, but they don't see like, yo, I could be this, or my story about this was told, or I could be the first astronaut, or this, or the first, like the only story they ever saw in a movie was like some immigrant who came in and struggled and struggled and struggled and maybe got this little thing. Like they don't just see Harry and Beth Sally.
Mm.
Uh, so their worth is a little skewed because we don't have our heroes to pick from. And whiteness has always had heroes. They have heroes every day of the week, when they scroll through the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
uh yeah, Hollywood is a trip.
Yeah, I mean, that's something like on my journey through anti-racism and decolonization, revisiting the movies and the TV shows that I grew up with in the 80s, and 90s, and watching the stuff now. It's like I can't watch cop shows anymore. Like that's because of the propaganda and how like all of that's depicted.
Propaganda.
Like I was there was that movie
That's a good
Cobra
term.
with Sylvester Stallone from the 80s where he
Yeah.
like the rogue detective that literally they're like he's the guy you call when the regular cops can't handle it, when the evil people are so evil, right? And the whole premise was like the Satanist evil cabal of like this biker gang was trying to take over, the city or whatever. So here's this guy, this loner white guy who, can't hold a relationship. Like he eats there's this scene where he comes home and he's watching this little TV. He opens the fridge, he takes out the pizza box. There's one slice of pizza. He cuts it in half with the scissors, eats half of it, puts it back and cracks a beer. And it's like that's the guy we're supposed to idolize and look up to because he's the only one that can stop evil. And like the whole like good and evil binary and like how we're like programmed with you know the self-sacrifice but in a negative way. Like there's one thing about sacrificing ourselves for the greater good, but really ruining relationships, like only having violence being a way to uh create change or keep us safe, like all of that. So it's been, and then all the cold war movies, you know it's been fascinating. There was like Hollywood Shuffle, uh that movie where I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he wrote it and directed it. And basically, he was a black actor who was only going out for like slave roles or criminals or drug dealers, and so the whole movie was about him creating a movie to give himself attention, So yeah, it's wild. And so I really um I appreciate how you and other folks use media to get your stories out. And I think it's really important. uh because I grew up in Los Angeles, and so I had the like I went to schools that were very integrated and diverse, and so I was used to seeing, you know uh or being in multicultural environments. But like the first time I went to Tennessee, um with my ex-wife, like to visit her family for the first time, it was like, oh wow. The Confederate monuments and the flags and the things people would say to me because, oh, he's white, I can say this thing to him. So inside of that, I I'd love to know, um what are there projects you're working on? Like, what are the things that you have going on moving forward? And what are the things that you want to do also?
Yeah, I gotta say to any should a young artist hear this, like that trope about that black actor who was only auditioning for these things and made his own movie, is still very true. Like I've been fortunate enough to do what a very small percentage of people to do, which is one, make a living as an actor, and then two, be a series regular on like a sitcom. Uh, and still, I get so many auditions that are like day player roles, or
Mhm.
this, drug dealer, or this undercover cop pretending to be a drug dealer, or this sort of bad person, or um and we're not, these roles are just not written for us. They're not written
Yeah.
for us. They're not written with us in mind. These good roles, these like, no, I'm not even saying juicy, I'm just saying like some depth, more than just a pawn for someone else's story. And so that is one of the reasons I create. I feel like I was forced to create. Someone said, "Man, your drive and your hustle is epic," and I said, one, I got to pay rent, and two, it's like I just don't want to wait around. For better or worse, I don't want to wait around, and I wanted to tell stories that I was a part of, that interested me. Again, I think curiosity has driven me my whole life. Um, for better or for worse, it has driven me into some weird situations, and it has driven me into a lot of beauty. But I always chase my curiosity.
Mm.
Um, and when I'm not, I feel like something is off. Like that is true of my spirit. Like my spirit is one that likes to go towards the unknown. Uh, and so what am I creating now? A lot.
Yeah.
Just closed the show, me and this beautiful actress woman named Annie Gonzalez, that we're turning into a film. It's called Rough Magic. That's really, really exciting. And we'll be taking that to New York in 2026 off Broadway. That's my version of When Harry Met Sally. Like, we just happen to be two brown people, but we never talk about it. Like, it's not about our struggles, as Latinos or anything.
Mhm.
It's just two people. What else am I working on? That opera, solo performance
Yeah, yeah,
piece you saw, it's come a long way. Uh, 2026 as well.
yeah.
So, so performance, ritual, this sort of very big piece that's now called How to Get Free. Uh, and uh, media and blah, blah, blah. That's my working. Who knows? Keeping busy writing. Yeah. Those are the things. I came out with a kid's book called "You're a Good Swimmer" that I
Yeah.
think is so, so beautiful, illustrated by an incredible artist named Ariel Boroff. It's about, if you've been born, you've already won the biggest race of your life.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's my slate.
Yeah. That's awesome. And like I know, we both do work with with young people. Um, uh, and you mentioned something also. I think it was on your website about really seeing what's possible, creating a world out of possibility. And so your little friend jump up on.
Islam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Like what are the things that we can be doing collectively? Like what are the things that exist that we can expand on, or how do you like what are the things that we could shift in our awareness? Just kind of get outside of how we usually do things.
I think it starts with awareness. It's like,
Yeah.
we have to, you can't change what you can't see. It's again, I return to imagination. Like, if you want a new world for yourself, for others, you have to be able to imagine it. And that is a really powerful thing. And I won't go so, I will go so far as to say, I think one of the greatest tricks whiteness ever pulled was taking away a body of culture's imagination,
Mm.
by as James Baldwin says, being born running on a treadmill while everyone else gets to walk. You can't take in the sights around you because you're running. It's harder to take in a deep breath. And so uh, this myth of hustle and struggle and some of the systems built in education with student loans, my god, like you be time poverty. That's a term I've
Mm.
been thinking about lately. Like, if I gotta hustle and work 6 jobs just to like pay my student loans and my rent and my gas, with what time do I have to create or imagine this new world or take in a new perspective? And so part of it is seeing that, that gosh, it's corny cliche, but the matrix is real.
Yeah.
Like, we have to see it. We have to see these systems at play. And then we have to be willing, if we want. I go into a lot of companies, and a lot of people ask me, how do I do it? What about my job? Like, it's not everyone's job to be the advocate. It's not your job to build bridges. Like, sometimes the role of a bridge builder can break your back.
Mm.
Like, it's only your job if you feel the call. If you wake up day after day and you want to use your voice or you want to take action, then do that. But you don't got to, you get to, right? Like,
Mm.
um and so I'm not demanding that everyone goes out there and creates peace. Create peace in yourself. Like, I really believe that. Like, a lot of people want to change the world, but no one wants to clean the dishes. Like,
Mm.
clean the dishes with love.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do the little things with your whole heart. I think that's where it starts, uh, because otherwise it can seem really big.
Yeah.
Like, our climate is burning. Like, oh my God, how do I fix climate change? I'm just not going to think about it. Oh, pick up a piece of trash. Like, I don't know, bike to work one day a week.
Yeah.
Um, Go for a walk instead of a ride. I think very, very little things that maybe also bring some nourishment to your soul can start that process of seeing things differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And are there uh, I have to ask, like, where do you draw your inspiration from, and where do you um bring new things into your awareness?
Uh, I try to listen a lot, not just to people, but like to the world. I try to listen. I try to listen to myself. Like, listen to what your body is feeling. Like, if you wake up every day anxious, okay, listen. Like, if you can't sleep, take note. Uh, if you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, listen. Like, why are you? If you're afraid of your boredom, listen. Uh, I try to listen. My Buddhist practice is really important to me. Uh, that's like hugely important in my life. Every day, I want to give it more time than I do give it. I teach these sort of weekly Dharma meditation courses. That's been really huge for me. Just this community that I've built. We have a returning group of people, and we just like meditate together and talk about things of the world.
Yeah.
Uh, read when I can. I am a busy person, but I try to make time to read. That's important to me. Uh, I listen. Yeah, I think that's it. I like to be inspired, or else I get bored. That's another
Yeah.
thing. I do get bored, and so again, curiosity. Um, I just try and push myself towards my curiosity.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love, in my conflict resolution work, like I teach people how to listen because it's not something, we're taught unless we seek it out, or unless we happen to do it naturally. Like, like I say how, like, I grew up with, shut up and do what you're told. My kids grew up with use your voice, but we're not really taught to listen to each other or ourselves. I think, like what you said, that's a really important piece also, because I wake up with anxiety a lot, especially like the last couple years, and it is like that is the access. Like we have to kind of stop and and yeah. I don't know.
I want to make a comment to
Yeah.
anxiety because it's a recurring theme in these little Dharma groups um, that I'm a part of. It's all sorts of people, right? It's people who have more than enough finances. It's people who want more finances. It's
Mhm.
it's people. Everyone has it. Because in this group, we have people all over the world: Houston, Mexico City, Los Angeles, New York. We have some older people. We've got some younger people, and everyone's the tummy is speaking right for
Yeah.
everyone. I'm starting to think I've not like qualified this, but I'm starting to believe that this is a pretty universal feeling, and it's one of the reasons. And I want to say, a lot of it is not yours.
Mm.
Like a lot of your anxiety in your tummy is not yours. It's this world.
Yeah.
This world is an anxious world. The climate is anxious. Like the world is in flux. The world is in pain. The world is name calling. Like there's just a lot of imbalance. So the people listening who feel anxious,
Yeah. Even you
you know,
saying that, like my body's like tensing
yeah,
up. Like yeah, absolutely.
if anyone listening who feels anxious, like it would be weird if you didn't want millions of people are being killed. That would be weird.
Yeah.
Like it would be weird if you didn't feel that. Like we are all connected. I don't think that's spiritual. I think that's physics. Physics has done a good job at saying like at your core is nothingness, and so you are connected with everything. Like you think you're solid, but actually at your core is just vibrating. And so that's all this thing is. Um, And so it would be weird if you didn't feel the pain of death, like not to make it too dark.
Yeah.
Like it would be weird. So I think a lot of our anxiousness is not our own. I want to say that it is ours, but it's not ours. Like just understand, recognize that like you might be feeling this conflict that exists in the earth. The other thing I'll say about anxiousness is I really do believe that the inundation of social media where everyone needs to be a somebody. Like
Mm.
everyone, first of all, so many people are performing somebodyness. Like everyone's got to be doing something. Everyone's a somebody. When most people are really not a somebody. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's just this performance, and I think we get anxious because we think we need to do more. Everyone right now thinks they need to do more than they are doing, and so they're missing their life.
Mm.
Speak to that. Like, if I'm not actively making the film or this, or I can miss out on moments of my life because like I'm just looking to that. I just want that green light, or I just want this, or why haven't I gotten my credit here, or and I miss my life, and I don't want to miss my life.
Yeah.
I think anxiousness is telling us like, yo, don't miss your life. Like live your life. You're missing out on your life thinking you're gonna live your life when you cross that proverbial finish line, but you might not make it there.
Mm. Damn. Yeah. I want to leave it at that. I mean, thank you for that. Um, just real quick, before we go, like, is there anything you want to share with people? Where can people find you? Um,
Yeah, I'm on all the things. As much as I said, sort of the socials, I'm on there. Um, I, but you can email me, find my website. Uh, we can hang out. Send me a joke. I'm on all the places. Yeah, if you just Google it, you'll see it. If you want to read the book, it's very beautiful. It's everywhere books are available. It's called Brown Enough. There's another book, the Swimmer. I'm sure you said should be in every middle schooler and high schooler's hand. I think even younger and older. Um, it's just a beautiful book about life. And uh, and that's it. Yeah, my
yeah,
writings are everywhere on the internet and all the things.
awesome, awesome. And then your website's ChristopherRivas.com.
.com. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes and everything. Christopher, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you, taking the time and sharing yourself and yeah, just thank you.
Thanks. Grateful for you.
Thank you everyone for listening in. It was a pleasure to have Christopher Rivas on the show. Please go check him out at christopherrivas.com. Please go and watch Reimagining Safety at reimaginingsafetymovie.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button and all the buttons and share. Uh, I'm really inspired after that conversation. I hope you are too. So thanks for listening in. And until next time, all power to the people.